Welcome to episode 14, everybody. We've got some new data in the last 3 days, so I want to put that in for you, kind of give you an idea of what that's telling us and what it means for the next couple days. So I wanted to start in the US curve today. So you can see that as of Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we seem to be climbing up this hill and maybe getting to a spot where it was flatter. And unfortunately, that didn't really happen this week. Again, we're doing Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, so this is not for Saturday or Sunday. But you can see that in the US on the 15th, on Wednesday, we had 34,000 new cases, then roughly 30,000 new cases, and then 32,000 new cases. So we're seeing a pretty steady increase. The good news is that we're not seeing 40,000 new cases or 50,000 new cases. The fact that it's staying about at 30, to me, that's a good sign. We don't want to see any rising. So the piece of unfortunate news that I noticed is that right now the model seems to be flattening out at almost like 750,000 people. So that's about 725,000. And when we put the data in, you're going to notice that the curve is actually going to go up to about 800,000. So the model after this next 3 days of data is forecasting that we're going to see a total of 800,000 cases. I The way that the numbers keep moving and the fact that these new cases keep on remaining constant, meaning we keep getting the same number of new cases roughly, that tells me that this part of our curve is just going to keep getting longer. It is, however, still forecasting that we end around day 80, and we're at day 63 right now. So it's still predicting we're about 3 weeks out. But if you notice, like 2 weeks ago, that's kind of the curve just keeps pushing itself over to the right because we still keep getting new cases. So I just want to show you what happens when we put this in. This was roughly 650,000 cases for Wednesday. So you see a little bit of curve movement. And then we put in Thursday, goes up a little more. And then we go to Friday. And that's where, see how that curve is now at about 800,000. So that's rising about 75,000 in predicted total cases. But we shall see. We'll see what happens in the next couple days. The other weird thing that I'm noticing about the USA curve is that the amount by which we are off in our predictions, that number is rising. So, in other words, this curve is predicting that we should be getting less and less cases new every day. And because we keep getting more and more new cases by about 30,000 per day, we're seeing the numbers off by a lot. And I'm going to scroll up to the last two episodes. So let's look back at episode 12. We were seeing that we were off by about 17,000, 19,000, 17,000. So that was our, in math, that's known as a residual, the difference between what you predicted and what actually happened. So remember, 17,000, 18,000, 19,000, we were off. And then when we brought you episode 13, we were off by 14,000, 14,000, 15,000. So what I found concerning about this set of data was that if you look at how much we were off by 25,000, which means the model the model was predicting like 10,000 new cases and it got 34,000 new cases. Here the model was expecting us to only go up by like 1,000 cases, and yet we raised by 29,000. See, we were off by 28,000. Down here, we were off by 34,000. So when the model thought that we would be getting really, really small number of new cases, we kept getting more. And I think that's for a couple of reasons, but mainly it's because each curve in the US and different states and different parts of different cities and suburbs, right? All those curves are still in motion. So the US curve is pretending like it's one. So I don't know. I just thought it was worth it to mention this because when I put in day 64, which is the estimate for Saturday, the model is estimating 702,000, and we already have more than that. So that's like concerning to me. And I'm going to look into this more to see if there's a better model we could use. But right now, I'm just trying to let you know like the weird stuff that I see happening. If we look a little closer to the curve, you can see that on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, our totals were underneath the curve, a little bit less than what I was expecting. And then all of a sudden, we were like dead on for the 15th of April. And then all of a sudden, boom, boom, these two totals are way higher than what the model is actually thinking is going to happen. So, it is a little weird to tell you that the prediction is 702,932, and we've already surpassed that. So it's really going to be about us monitoring this new case data more and more, and we really need to see this 32,000 number go down. Okay, so that's what I've got for you in the USA curve today. Like I said, this is bottoming out at about 800,000. I think we're going to be seeing it go into the millions in this next week, just because of how steady these new cases are growing. So, not the best news for the U.S. curve. I want to go over to Connecticut and put that new data in. Unfortunately, Connecticut is very similar to what happened in the US model. Right now, you can see we're bottoming out at about a little bit over 18,000 cases. And when I put this new data in, we're going to be up to 20,000 new cases as a prediction for a total. So let's put in the Wednesday. So you see the curve raises a little bit. Then we'll put in Thursday, raise up a little more. And then we had another 925 cases. And you see how that's now above. And the same kind of thing happened where Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we were kind of under, and even Wednesday. But then again, we hit and then we're going above. So the numbers and how they're coming in they're 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 surpassing what we're expecting is my point. So just to look at kind of the new cases data, we got 766. We got 1,129 new cases on that Thursday, and on Friday we got 925 new cases. So, I briefly spoke about 3-day averages when we last met. So I want to go into that a little bit more and show you something I'm tracking. So I just want to tell you what a 3-day average is. So a 3-day average is actually what the CDC is using to analyze the movement of these cases, because they realize that from day to day, you may have a really big total, and then another day you might have a really small total of new cases. So what a 3-day average does is it takes into mind like, what did it do yesterday, what is it doing tomorrow, and then it finds an average of that middle day. So in other words, let's imagine we got 1,235 new cases one day, right? That's a huge total. And then on day two, let's say we only get 611, 611, right? So obviously, if we were sitting there on day one and we saw 1,200 new cases, we'd say, oh no, that's terrible. And then on day two, we see 611 new cases. We say, oh, that's great. And we start to say, this is awesome. And we claim victory. But then that third day, let's say we get another 851 cases, right? That's going to be, oh, I got to make that. Hold on, 854, even 900. So my point is, don't get too caught up in one day of data and saying that something really, really bad happened because that new data, or something really good happened, right? This system here that they're developing, and this isn't like rocket science, this is just an average of 3 days. The day two average would be 900, because the bumper around it was much greater than what day two was. Okay. So just because you had 611 new cases on that second day, then the 3-day average was actually 900, because there was big gains on the bumpers. Okay, so I wanted to explain to you what a 3-day average was, so that this table hopefully makes more sense to you now. So if you go all the way back to March 8, we obviously had 0 days, 0 new cases per day. And then you can see that that first week goes by, we got 7 new cases. on average. Then it went into the 10s, the 20s, the 30s. And then March 23rd was the first day we had a 3-day average of over 100. And then all throughout the end of March, 183, 200s, 300s, 500s, 500, 600, 800. And then on April 7th, we had our largest 3-day average. So again, between April 6th, 7, and 8, the 3-day average was 1,035. And then we started to go down, 959, 919. And then this was a really encouraging day because we thought maybe that means that we're lowering our cases per day. But then you see we shoot right back up to 950, 825, 907. So I want to be cautious in saying this is awesome. Like we're decreasing. We're still averaging over 900 new cases a day. So when that average starts to go down to 800, 700, 600, 500, really low, that's going to be when we can start to say, okay, now we're making progress. So I will keep you updated. You'll also notice today is the 18th. I don't have a total because we need to know what tomorrow's total is to get the 3-day average. So I will be looking at this. I'll be updating you on this kind of stuff more often because this is a better way for us to gauge things over time. The model gives us a nice look into day by day how it's going. It also gives us an understanding of what our total should be or what we estimate our total cases to be. So the Connecticut curve is still doing a decent job at doing predictions. So if we take a peek here, we were off by 200 and then still off by 600 and 700. So while it wasn't as great of a difference as the USA was, Connecticut is still experiencing some weird things going on with its model because, like I said, the model is predicting us to start climbing up, but then every day we put new data in, and this steeper part becomes taller. So I do want to report out that the estimate for tomorrow is going to be 16,960, and see we're let's see 968. Yeah, see it's predicting like less than 200 new cases, and we know that that's not going to happen just because this data is not going to fall that dramatically in one day. So unfortunately some bad news, but also some good understanding, hopefully, from what these 3-day averages are and kind of what we see to hope happen, what we're hoping to happen down here as we get into May. So I will keep updating you, and I'll put in the Saturday and Sunday data. Maybe we'll do like a Sunday night update, but if not, we'll do definitely one on Monday. So I hope everyone has a good weekend. It's really strange out. It snowed this morning, so if things couldn't get any weirder, we're snowing in mid-April. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I will talk to you next episode. And let's see, the next episode will be 15. So we're reaching landmarks here. But hopefully have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.